Welcome to the Tattoo Marketing Podcast. On this week's episode, we have Cody Gower, owner of Against the Grain Tattoo, and we talk about what it's like being an apprentice, at least what it was like back in the day, second chances, greedy shop owners, running a tattoo shop fairly, value of your reputation, value of winning awards, and social media use as an artist. It's going to be a great episode, or it was a great episode, so enjoy.
My brother-in-law, who up until 2021, my sister passed away, but he was with her from the point of her being 16 to 37. You know, I was going with him when he turned 18 to get tattooed over there. And I was taking my drawings with him. It was right on the other side of the train tracks, the apartments we were living in. We would go over there, you know, I'd walk with him. And he would get tattooed, and the owner was like, you know, you keep it up. I'll put your drawings on the wall for flash. And if anyone gets it, I'll pay him. And you keep at it. One day you can tattoo. And then from there, man, that was it. I was middle school, high school, telling everybody. Teachers are like, you know, you're going to have to, you know, figure something out for college. You ain't going to college with a tattoo.
That's awesome. So when you got out of high school, is that directly what you did?
Yeah, so I was working a full-time job. And it's funny, I just made the joke about college. I was working a job. I was getting tattooed at the shop I did my apprenticeship at. But before I got offered an apprenticeship, I started looking into college to pursue an art degree to further my art knowledge to ensure that I got a better chance of getting an apprenticeship. I was going to college. I planned to. I was like, all right, well, it traditionally ain't easy, so if I have these degrees to validate my art ability, because a guessing ability wasn't enough in my head, right? But little did I know, it just took consistency and just showing I really wanted to do it. Like a year after I graduated, man, I was given my opportunity for the apprenticeship, and it just took off.
What was your apprenticeship like?
You know, I apprenticed in the late 2000s, mid to late. It was your standard apprenticeship that you hear about. You know, I was an apprentice, man. I was, is language an issue on the podcast?
No.
Okay. I was a shop bitch, bro. I was a shop bitch. Straight up. Don't tell them no. Do what you're told. Scrubbing tubes. These kids these days don't know what a tube is. But scrubbing tubes, cleaning clamps, cleaning up after everybody, breaking everyone down, ultrasonics, autoclaves, and again, just being the shop bitch. Shut the fuck up.
No.
That's pretty much it. Shut the fuck up and do it.
Yep. So that's around the time I started getting my first tattoos, and the atmosphere in shops was much different than it is now.
Checkered floors and black and red walls.
Yep. And some mean motherfucker tattooing you.
100%. You probably walked in with the 5-finger death punch and Slayer playing.
Oh, God, that brings me back.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
Good time. Yeah, no shit. So how long were you apprenticing before you actually started tattooing?
You know, I got fortunate, man. I picked it up pretty quick.
Okay.
Tattooing, the initial process come pretty natural to me. It was everything else that took the time. I breezed through everything within about 3 or 4 months. I was given the opportunity to all right, let's see what you can do. Well, because I was really committed to it. Like, I was working a full-time job, and everything about me was going into wanting to get to tattooing. Right. And then I was like, all right, gonna just put my head down and do as much as I needed to do. Looking back, I was probably let in a little too early. Because that early opening led to some early mistakes. A lot of early mistakes because I was given a lot of too much freedom early on and, kind of do whatever. but do whatever means I fucked up a lot because I didn't know no better, but I thought I knew better because I was given too much freedom.
Got it.
I wasn't grounded.
So
I should have been.
how'd you recover from that?
Going into 2010, I got my dick put in the dirt pretty bad over some choices. We've all been young and dumb. It was a couple of different choices that kind of left me in a position, man. I had a falling out with my mentor. We didn't talk for 7 years. We talk now, which is crazy. The way me and him get along now, I wouldn't know that we had a pretty bad issue that, it took us to court. It was pretty bad falling out. I found myself tattooed around the house for 2 years, man. And then once I got another opportunity, I was like, all right, I'm not going to squander it. I've lost it once. I can't lose it again. And from there, I kind of put my nose in the right direction. At least I thought. I was doing everything I thought I needed to do, but I realized I was just a street shop tattooer. I didn't really, looking back on it, at least, right? But I just, I kept my head down and just tattooed is what I did. And everything kind of just happened organically.
Got it, man. So you got the second chance. You're starting to work at a shop again. Where'd you go from there? I mean, looking at your art, dude, I mean, you're a hell of an artist. So,
So the first shop I went back into after the 2 years, the second chance I got wasn't because they saw something. It was because I found someone, funny enough, that shop that I told you about that inspired me to be a tattooer. The owners had divorced. The current owner was a piercer. She didn't tattoo. And the shop had a bit of a bad reputation for turning people out for the last 10 years since the divorce. And she was in desperate need of somebody. And I was in desperate need of a place to go. And I was like, all right, well, I can't be picky. It's the only place with a foot in the door, So I took it. It wasn't the ideal situation, but it was an opportunity. When I started working there, the second day there was a notice on the door to pay your rent or get out. If that tells.
Oh shit. Oh.
Have to bring, the Wi-Fi box, the shop's window internet. It was just a whole lot of mess that it shouldn't have been. The shop was damn near a trap house. But I did what I needed to do, man. And in that time, I started kind of redeeming myself after about a year. To a point where one of the shops that turned me down needed an artist and hit me up, was like, hey, you looking for a place to go? And while I wasn't happy where I was at, I did want to leave. I waited until I could find someone to replace me. That way I didn't leave them empty-handed without someone. So the guy who had got me my apprenticeship had just got out of prison. And he had helped me get my foot in the door at the shop I got my apprenticeship at. So I returned the favor to help him get his foot back in the door into the business itself. Full circle. Got him a job.
Yeah.
A month later, I'm out. Go to the other shops. I met working there. I didn't realize that they were going through problems too. And it was a whole slew of drama. But in that process, I met the individual I look at as like I had an apprenticeship. That's at the gentleman who apprenticed me, but then I have someone who mentored me. I met a gentleman by the name of Derek Bohannon. And that's the gentleman I feel like I tell you what mentored me. He's the one who really helped guide me at a point in my career when I really didn't have no guidance. And that's the gentleman who really pushed me in a positive direction. 2013. And like when I went there, he had been told they weren't going to hire anyone else. Next thing you know, I'm there the next day. And he's like, what the hell's going on? He's confused by it. He has no clue. He's like, hey man, I want you to know the gentleman that you think this isn't this. Be prepared. I want you to get your feelings hurt because you think it's something and it's not. Sure enough, he was right. But he helped me. he helped push me in such a good way that, like, when I left there in 2015 to open my own studio, you know, I was so much further because of him.
That sounds like a good mentor.
Man, he's a good dude, man. I can't say nothing but positive things about him. Man, like, I talk to him every other day, every few days. We go out to dinner, try to go out to dinner at least once a week. Like, he owns his own shop in town. I own my own shop. Like, we have a really good relationship. Here we are. I've known him almost a decade now.
What was it like going out on your own?
You know, not as scary as people think. At least for me, it wasn't. But it was also because I felt like I had something to prove. There was no other shop in town I wanted to work for. I got tired of working for greedy shop owners who treated me like a number, right? I quit the shop that he worked at and that I was at because the owner of that shop got mad that I took off on a Wednesday to take my son to get tested for autism. Yeah. She made 50 grand off me one year. And that wasn't enough for her. Man, she didn't tattoo. Like, you don't tattoo, you don't. So you made, between me and Derek alone, you made $100,000 to sit on your butt. Like, what are you upset about? Like, how miserable is your life? You make 100 grand to do nothing. So I left. I opened a private studio. My first studio was 400 square feet.
Nice little spot.
Probably the size of my living room. Not big. But, like, it was perfect, man. You come in, there's a chair, little half wall. You wait on the wall, you sit. I was already appointment only, right? So it wasn't like I needed this huge space at that point. I was already just tattooing my regulars. So you come in, get tattooed, and you leave. And I paid $500 a month rent.
Well, that sounds nice.
Bro, it was perfect, man. I could go in, tattoo, and leave. I didn't have to worry about nothing else. I didn't have to worry about answering for nobody, man. I didn't. It was an ideal situation.
So, with that shop, do you have other artists that work with you now?
Yeah. So what happened was that building I was in, it was attached to, like, it was a small building. There was another side that was a barbershop. There was an old man, Mr. Walker. He sold the building. I didn't know about it. New owners come in. Mr. Waldron had talked to them. The agreement was the rent was going to stay the same. Well, what happened is I've been pushing for a lease because the old man was in his 80s and he didn't do lease. I've been pushing for a lease for the lady because I was like, I just don't trust this lady. Well, she waited till she rented out the other side and then was like, all right, I know I can get $800 for that side, so I can get $800 from your side, so I'm going to raise your rent. And I'm like, man, this little space isn't worth $800. So what I did is I went down the road that same day and I looked at a few places and I found a place that was double the space for $600 a month. And I said, all right, I'm going to give you an opportunity. We can keep it at 5 or I can leave. She said, I can't do 5. I said, cool. They just found a place for 800 square feet for $600. So you can keep this. This is my 30-day. I'm out. She called me back about an hour later trying to get me to stay, but I'd already signed the lease to the other place I did. When I did, I moved out there. It's always scary moving locations, which is actually the location I'm at now. But I've since knocked down walls, expanded into the other neighboring building. Like, I've grown. I hired my first apprentice, which was a whole learning experience for me, by the way. I thought I was ready. I was nowhere near ready. I'd been doing it for about 6 years at that point. Thought I was prepared for an apprentice. I wasn't. Me and him were learning together, actually, at that point, which was cool. You know, we were. And then I hired a guy who'd been tattooing the house named JD. I hired JD. Still to this day was the best decision I've ever made in my career. Because JD has been with me since. In 2019, it was still just the three of us. JD come to me at the end of 2019, was very upfront with me, and was like, hey, I want to be honest with you. I've been here for about 3 or 4 years, and it's getting to a point I need to figure out what's next for me. And I was like, okay. He says, I'm not telling you I'm leaving now, but maybe 6 months to a year, probably going to dip. Just wanted you to be prepared. And at this time, I was traveling full time. This is September of 2019. I'm traveling full time because on top of tattooing, I'm helping Access Rotary sell machines. So I'm on the road a lot. And I'm like, hey, man, instead of leaving, you come here when I open this. Why don't we split everything? You've earned it as much as I have. You built the shop up as much as me. And yeah, if you look at the reviews, his name was just as much as mine. I felt like he had earned it. He went home, talked it out with his family because it caught him off guard. He didn't expect me to offer him an opportunity like that. So he come to me a couple days later. We talked again. He was a little shocked and made sure that's what I wanted to do. I said, if he wanted to do it, I said, I'd rather split it with him than lose him. I never got into being a shop. I didn't want to be a shop owner. I didn't ever want to be a shop. I wanted to open the shop out of this necessity. I had no plan in my life to ever own a shop, ever. I was cool just going in tattooing. And if anyone's listening to this, if you got a happy environment you are good with, and the owner's great and they're treating you good, stay there. I promise you, chasing the greener grass to own a studio isn't always the best move for everybody. If you can grow and flourish, just going in and tattooing, keep doing that. Don't feel like you have to go out and own a shop, because it is a whole lot more stress than they think it is. But, we talked about it. And then from there, man, we remodeled the place we were in, hired a fourth guy. A year later, the opportunity to get the building next to us come up. So we knocked a big hole in the wall, remodeled again, hired a fifth. Then we hired a sixth, and now there's 7 of us in there.
That's awesome.
7 of us in the shop, man. And again, never, if you'd have told me in 2015 I'm going to own a shop with 7 people, I'd have said you're crazy.
I mean, for a guy that didn't want to be a shop owner, you're doing pretty damn well.
It's
at being a shop owner.
I got a good crew. I operate a little bit differently than a lot of shop owners, so comparatively to a lot of shop owners, I don't make what other shop owners make, but it's because I don't want to make what other shop owners make. I make enough off of them, as far as I care about, enough to offset the cost of maintaining the shop and supplies. Again, my guys, I feel I'm up to 70%, and I'm still supplying everything. Right down to derm, right down to, you know what I'm saying? Like, all that. I got enough sponsors, I get discounts on everything. So, like, I'm only getting 30% off a lot of these guys. They have a key. If I see you, I see you. I don't, I don't. Like, I try to operate a pretty fair ship with a degree, Don't take advantage of the situation either, You're just not pulling your weight around their office, so you have to have conversation. As long as you're working and tattooing, I make sure everybody eats. Hell, even my apprentice book's out. Can't remember the last time my apprentice did a walk-in. Everyone's happy, everyone's eating around there.
So, do you guys do any marketing for your studio, or, got 7 guys booked out, including an apprentice? That's pretty impressive.
Everyone's got their own individual things they do. Like, a lot of it was built off of the work me and JD did for years. We built the shop's reputation up to where the reputation itself has carried itself over now. Now we maintain that reputation. I got my first 2 true 1-star reviews this year on Google. One was because on Friday the 13th, they had to wait. Because I like participate. I did the Friday 13th thing, man. They were upset they had to wait 6 hours. The other one was because my piercer doesn't do septum piercings. Like, that's the biggest complaint.
That's, yeah.
How dare
that's ridiculous.
Offer a service that I want. He doesn't like doing
Sounds like people.
Everybody's nose is crooked. Like, the chance of getting an absolutely perfect septum is slim to none. So instead of dealing with people complaining about why is my septum not 100% perfect, I just don't want to do it. I'm just not wasting my time with it. And instead of the piercer not doing something he's uncomfortable with, 1 star. Like, what?
Sounds like people, man.
Man, so that's the biggest complaint I got on my studio from the client. I'm good to go.
Yeah. No, that's still that's pretty damn good. So, so where do you see your guys going? I mean, you've got, obviously you guys are growing pretty well. I mean, do you want to get bigger? What's your plan?
I'm gonna be honest. This is the most I see is maybe if I don't ever want to never say never, because here I am owning a shop with 7 people, and I said I'd never do that. I never want to say never, but it's not my goal to go bigger. But if like opportunities present themselves, right? Like my apprentice when I got now, I was done with the 6 people we had. But an opportunity to bring on someone that I just felt like would be a waste to not. I was like, all right, I got to make this work because I can't just let this one go. There's too much potential here to just skip it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a never say never. Where do I see it? You know, I'm cool with the size of the shop as long as all the artists are growing, right? I do tell them that forever isn't forever at the studio. And eventually, for the most part, nearly every one of them will eventually want to move off to do something else. It might go work for another shop. It might be open their own studio. But eventually, they're going to want to go do something else. And as long as they're in a better spot when they leave than when they got with me, I'm happy.
That's a sounds like a solid boss. You know, talk to people when they left their studio to open their own shop. You know, some of the times the owner isn't too thrilled about that.
That's what happened with me. It's what happened with my buddy Derek. Like, look, man, it was the second they find out that you're not lacing their pockets, it's a problem, right? And everyone I know that's ever left, you know, even when I've left to go to a different studio, I've offered the 2 weeks, a month notice. I've always had the other studio prepared because they might tell me to fucking kick rocks immediately upon knowing I'm leaving because I'm no longer beneficial to them. Like, once you're no longer putting money into greedy people's pockets, their true colors show. Me, and I think that's why me also not profiting like other shops. I don't have to worry about that. I'm not making much money off these guys. It's not enough to where I'm going to notice them gone anyways. So, like, I'm not dependent on them there. I always maintain if I can't pay the bills by myself, I don't need to own the shop anyways.
That's a good way to put an outlook to have on it, man. Because, yeah, you definitely don't want to be in a situation where you're dependent on somebody else. They leave, and then you're just fucked.
Yeah. Like, if I can't do it on my own, if me and especially now, like I said, me and JD are partners, me and him can't do it without them, why the hell are we owning this place?
Yeah. Yep. So, you know, being a shop owner for so long, what is the most unexpected thing about being a shop owner that you didn't think about?
You know what? 2 things. One, while I love my crew, dealing with a whole shop full of people, like dealing with kids. You have to treat everybody differently, man. It's like dealing with kids. And I definitely have them at times where I have to come home and play that. And it's like, all right, kids, let's sit down. We need to have family meetings and talk about some things. But I'm fortunate enough that we are always pretty open to each other. We could sit down, we could talk about it. We could fight, be okay, hug it out 10 minutes later. Other than that, the paperwork side of things, man. Bro, you know what? You know what they don't prep you for? So, where are you at?
Washington State.
Okay. How is Washington State in terms of licensing for art?
Not terrible from what I've heard. I do have a client down in Nevada, though, and it sounds like a whole different story in Las Vegas.
Tennessee is relaxed but strict. So we have to have our artist license, right? And then there's the piercer. Then we have to have the shop license for tattooing. Then we have to have the shop license for piercing. After those establishment licenses are set in place, then I have to have my city license. I have to have my county license. So city, county, state licensing, right? Let's renew all those. Well, I have to renew both my artist, piercing, and establishment license. I can't renew my city and my county licensing though until I pay the taxes on my business. And then that license is determined by how much my taxes are. So after I pay my taxes on the business, and I renew those licenses, then I can renew everything else. Everything's like in this big jumbled up. You can't do one without the other. And then once I start doing that, and then I have to pay property taxes on everything I own inside the building. I have to pay taxes on everything that's mine every year. How much is everything in here worth? Cool. You owe this much money every year because that's how much everything in here is. Tight. All right. Then I have to have my insurance secured. So yeah, like they don't prepare you for all the paperwork, man, that goes with it, bro. Like, why do I gotta pay taxes on the stuff that's already bought? I already own it. Already bought it. I done paid the taxes on it. Why do I gotta pay taxes again? Why do I gotta pay? And like my county and city license, I gotta pay taxes on those. But the taxes on those are based off of how much my taxes were through the state. Why do I gotta pay taxes on the city and the county licenses when I just paid the state my taxes? That's the stuff they don't prep you for. That's what no one tells you about that stuff. The headache that goes along with that. I'm glad everything's disposable. It's the bad to send out a sport test and all this other stuff. However,
that yeah, the paperwork and the people management is definitely the you think running your own business is going to be, stressful, but it's going to be fun. And, you'll have these problems. And then it's a completely different set of problems that you actually have. And you're like, what the fuck? I was not expecting this.
100%. The customers, I didn't know the worst part about. I could do it with the customers all day. My own goddamn people.
Yeah, I know the feeling. So understand. So you've built yourself a pretty awesome Instagram following. How did you do that? How long did it take?
Oddly enough, it happened over the last few years. There was a point where I just kind of floated around like the 3,000 to 5,000 mark for like 3 or 4 years. And then I was traveling, bro. I thought winning a bunch of awards was going to help my career. So I was out here doing when I tell you this, because you've looked at my profile, it's going to catch you off guard. I was out here doing surrealistic black and gray realism and all this other stuff. Right? I was doing all this stuff that the Yankees wanted to see. Neo tried and everything else. I was winning awards. But at the end of the day, I was just another realism guy. So when I stopped, I got a whole shop full of awards, bro. You know what they do? They collect dust. So what ended up happening was I went up, said F this, then the anime thing kind of started taking off. I saw there wasn't many. There was only 4 or 5 anime tattoos, but their stuff was getting seen everywhere. To a point I was like, okay, being an anime fan, I can actually do anime tattoos now. So I started pushing that. Because I was doing new school predominantly after that. After the realism, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do my new school tattoos, call it a day. Because this shit's for the fucking birds. Clearly, these awards don't mean shit. They don't. If you're watching this, guys, the awards will not in no way help your career get any further. It is 3 people. As someone who judges, I want to tell you that now. As someone who judges a lot of conventions, it is 3 people's opinions that don't mean shit. Coming from a guy who they want to ask his opinion, it don't mean shit.
Fair enough.
So I dove into my anime. And when I dove into my anime, I dove in at the right time because it boomed. Man, did it boom. Post-COVID, it boomed even more. Because 2019, it was booming. I was doing good. Post-COVID, what happened is people got shut down from COVID. Nothing to do but watch TV. And what did most people watch during this time period? Tiger King and anime. So anime blew up. And like, fucking, even my brother doesn't know shit about anime. Loves anime now. Loves anime. I tattoo people from the hood that are just fucking with anime, bro. Like, everyone knows anime is just such a broad thing now. And next thing you know, I watch my social media just kind of like boom, 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 which was great because my following jumped like 15,000 in a year. For me, it's astronomical. Of course, I see some of these other kids now that are just blowing up at 10 times the rate as me. And these kids are absolute anomalies and the things they're doing. Kid named Russell been tattooed 4 years, 5 years is a freak of nature when it comes to tattooing. The kid's doing stuff with coil machines. He's poking around with coils that I've never seen before in my life. And kid's almost got 100K followers at 5K, going on 5 years in. But he's a stellar tattooer, phenomenal tattooer, and he's a hard-working kid who deserves every bit of success coming his way. 110%. I've done pretty good for myself. You know, I'm sitting at I'm at 30K now, and while there's people that are out more, there's people that are less, and I'll tell this to the people with less. I'm just as busy at 30K followers as I was at 5K followers. Whether you're booked out for a month or you're booked out 6 months, you're still booked out. And don't let that top end number make you feel like it has to validate your worth. Because I did for a long time. To the point where I thought lesser of myself because I didn't have the same following that these other people had. I was like, man, maybe I just suck. Maybe I'm just not doing it good. 31K followers has come with 31,000 people want to ask me questions. I get about 40 to 50 messages a day of inquiries. And that's only, you know, yeah. So my friends I've got friends who've got 150, 200,000 followers that like, I'm like, hey, I don't feel like responding to the 40 or 50 I get.
That's a lot.
Man, I have to plan a day where I just sit and just scroll through my messages and just answer them and then don't start responding back. And I'm like, man, all right, I'll get to it in a couple days.
Fair enough, man. That's I mean, I know when I first started my own business, being an entrepreneur, I thought it was all about how many followers you had on Instagram, or I guess now it would be TikTok too. I thought that like, oh, when you have, 30,000 followers, man, your business is booming. That's all that matters. And I learned very, very quickly that doesn't do shit besides, I mean, it's cool and it's awesome that people want to see, obviously your work and stuff like that. But that doesn't put any goddamn money in your pocket.
Bro, best advice you ever got was from a buddy of mine, man. These people on the internet don't pay your bills like that. It's true. Their opinions don't pay your bills. 30,000 people brought more haters too. Definitely brought us little haters. Man, I got used to just like deleting and blocking people. Like I used to like let that shit get to me. Like who's got an opinion, bro? I don't care if I'm not a tattooer for everybody. Everyone's gonna like my stuff, and that's okay. Especially TikTok. The TikTok community, I'll tell you, as you're branching out into that, anyone branching out into that, TikTok market is not the same as everyone others market. The TikTok market is a lot broader. So 400,000 followers on TikTok doesn't equate to 400,000 people giving you business. It's the TikTok market. That's the reason why TikTok probably pays the least in terms of its creator fund out of all social medias. The least. I think that 1 million videos gives people like 1 million views, gives people like $20, something like that. Yeah, it's not worth, the juice ain't worth the squeeze on the TikTok market for people. And so what's happening is a lot of these larger creators are starting to see that you'll see, like, especially like I've got tattoo friends who turned to it really heavy during COVID, but now that the outcome is like changing, they're turning away from it. It's good to get yourself visually seen, but TikTok is not a great source of business. It's just one of the things that we feel like we got to do on social media right now, because it's a platform that people use and you want to get yourself seen on there. It's like you want to get yourself seen on Instagram and stuff. We feel like we got to do it. I use TikTok to talk shit to people. I'm roasting bad tattoos on TikTok. That's really straight up.
Oh, you know what? I watched one of yours that you just posted. Let's see, when was this?
Was it the neck tattoo or the glitter tattoo?
The neck tattoo. Oh my God.
That's what I use TikTok for. I use TikTok for my people, because it's the only place that I don't have to be professional. Because I don't care if anyone's going to get business from me off TikTok. You're either going to watch me talk shit or no. I'll post tattoos there too. You're going to probably talk shit on them anyways. Have fun. I'll delete your comment and move on. And I won't even know who you are by the end of the conversation.
That is a good use of it, man. I know I was watching a couple of your reactions, and man, they're, working with tattoo artists and studios, like, I just see a lot of really, really good tattoos for the most part. And then you remember, oh, there's this entire other side of these just like fucking terrible tattoos that person has the rest of their life.
I always heard a saying, there is a tattoo for every client. And when people go, I posted one earlier, man, it's this glitter tattoos. Girl, I ain't trying to put your podcast on blast, so I don't know about name dropping, but like,
Okay.
She's not that well. And the people that go to her have to know she's not well. So I feel like when people are pointing out, when with social media being it like it is, with us seeing work like we do, there's too easy of access to find a good artist. If you do not go to a good artist at this point in your life, based on what you see by their portfolio online, if you get a bad tattoo by looking at their work online, then unfortunately you get the tattoo you deserve. Everything's out there for us. There's no reason. This isn't, how old are you?
36.
Okay, I'll be 35. Throw this that we are pretty much the same demographic. I'll be 35 in August. When we was get tattooed, we had to go into a shop and we had to look at a portfolio. Right? We couldn't pull up our phone. Everything is at our fingertips now. So people have such easy access to see what their work is ahead of time that they shouldn't be running into getting bad tattoos, right? They shouldn't. So, like, when I see bad tattooers busy, people are very aware of the choices.
Yeah, and this was something I can't remember who I was talking to somebody about this, but it's very different from when we were 18 getting our first tattoo. Like you said, you just knew there was a shop. You walked in, the guy was usually a dick. Just get in the chair, get your tattoo, get the fuck out. But that was it. I mean, maybe you saw a buddy that had got some work done from him.
Yeah.
But it was very different than it was now. And you were just hoping he wasn't like drunk or like it was going to turn out as good as the one you saw, or it was very different.
You gambled. I am lasered off from my hand up, both arms, from hand up to shoulder, my chest, and my right leg of those 18, 19-year-old mistakes of just going into the shop. I had 2 full sleeves lasered off.
How was that?
You ever, the best way to show you, man, is like, I mean, you can see everything's pretty much like light and gone. This was one time.
Oh, yeah.
But like, it was both of my arms. I had roses all up. You ever get popped by grease?
Yeah.
Constantly getting popped by grease. And the smell of burning hair isn't fun.
Sounds terrible.
It's awful. So bad.
2 sleeves off.
Both from hand up.
Oh, God.
I've started my chest, been doing my right leg. I don't know why. Because I hate getting tattooed. Like, that's the principle of it, man. Like, I just don't enjoy it. I try to numb everything at this point in my life. It just ain't fun to me no more. It ain't been fun in a long time.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. A couple of years ago, like, I got my first tattoo when I was 18. A couple of years ago, I did my ribs. And at that point, I was like, why the fuck do I do this still? Like, this is terrible. This fucking hurts.
Dude, I just booked an appointment for, I've started my back. My buddy John Ross out in Charlotte's doing it for me. Phenomenal tattooer. I've got 2 sessions in line work. Mine goes from my shoulders to the back of my knees, right? The second session, he's at the end. I've got about 15, 16 hours in line work so far. My next session's in 3 weeks, finally. But, like, as he's doing the backs of my knees, I'm sitting here laying there, I'm like, why? Why am I doing this? Why? It hurts so bad. And I'm just sitting here with so much regret. I'm running a lot in my knee ditch.
Yeah, that sounds painful. Oh, and I still gotta do all the shading and everything.
Dude, that's how I felt like when I got home.
Oh.
And, I'm 15 hours in, and I've only got lines. John's slow. Like, I've gotten tattooed by two other really slow tattooers. Jordy Claw, he was on 8 Master, good buddy of mine. Then Bob Terrell. Bob's just as slow. Bob did a piece this big on my ankle, 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours for.
Oh, God. Oh.
But it was the easiest tattoo I've ever.
Really?
So that slow process, because it's so tedious, it's less trauma on the skin. It just takes significantly longer. The slower tattooers hurt less.
Got it. Makes sense. I have a fallen angel that's my entire back and then kind of comes up over here. He did that in probably 10 hours, and it's mostly shading. That fucking hurt.
Yeah, because in and out.
It was quick. It was way faster than I thought it would be.
I'm a fast tattooer, bro. I know this ain't gonna feel great, but I'm tattooing with efficiency and delivery, and it's gonna be in there.
Yeah. I mean, granted, he was done. I thought it was gonna be like a 30-hour piece. Got done probably 10, 12 hours, but fuck.
I felt every bit of it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Again, it was halfway through that session. I was like, why am I doing this? I can't just stop and have half a fallen angel on my back.
Man, I woke up today. I was feeling good. I wasn't, I was doing fine. I was at home. I was relaxing, watching TV. Now look at me. I'm in here. I'm in this chair, and I'm miserable.
Yep. Good times, man. Good times. Hey, Cody, I've taken up about an hour of your time, man. So I'll let you go. I really appreciate you coming on. This was a fun conversation. It was good to hear about, everything you've done. It seems like it's been a kind of crazy but cool journey that's had a good outcome, man.
I'm fortunate, man. I've got a lot of great people around me. I get support system, friends, family, man. People that have been with me for years. My career has brought me some of the closest people in my life. My career has allowed me to give my son a good life, allowed me to give my family a good life, take care of everyone around me. I've allowed my friends, to have more comfort in their lives because of tattooing, right? Like right down the hill, my best friend was working at Vanderbilt with 2 degrees, miserable. And now he's tattooing and piercing and way happier in life. Was dealing with depression, and now he's living a life he wanted to. He didn't think was possible. He's living a life that he can actually be happy with. Again, same with like my crew, man. I wanted to create a place where people could just be happy and relax, and tattooing is a business I'm incredibly grateful for. And I hope for everyone, that watches your podcast uses these opportunities, when it comes to things, hope they appreciate the business. That's the most important thing about tattooing, is appreciate the business. If I have any advice to give anyone listening, it's advice that was given to me about 4 or 5 years ago. And when I first heard it, I didn't understand, but I understand it now. Just shut the fuck up and listen. It took me a while to understand it, but we're really understanding because you're hearing people, but are you listening? It's the best advice I can give any young kids coming in.
That is solid advice. Because I would say most people don't do that.
Gotta listen, man. You ain't just hearing them. You gotta listen to them.
Yeah. Agreed. Again, Cody, massively appreciate it, man. So,
if you got a question, man, hit me up. I'm always available for more chats.
Awesome, man. Again, thank you. I do really appreciate it. So, I enjoyed chatting with you, man. That was fun.
I appreciate you, man. Holler at me if you got questions.
Will do. Thank you.